Welcome to the collective where you'll hear all things collecting and much, much more. I'm Zack Mo.
And I'm Collector. How was your weekend collecting, Zack Mo?
It was actually pretty dope. I pulled the gold Arceus, or as I like to call it, Arceus.
What? I've never even heard that.
I put it in the chat all the time. Arkoos,
Okay.
Arceus.
Okay. I missed it.
Well, chat goes fast, as you always say.
It really does, actually.
So I pulled the gold Arceus from Crown Zenith.
Gold Arceus. Stead Gold Arceus right here. Uh-oh.
Yep,
Boom.
that's the gold Arceus.
Going off the Pisa for you.
I thought you said you sent it already.
I did the submission. I do submissions on normally on Wednesdays, but I did the submission. It'll send out tomorrow. All the paperwork's ready.
Wait, so how does PSA work then? I'm confused. I thought you just send or whatever.
No. You have to do a lot of paperwork for PSA up front. So basically, you go. They have a website. You tell them what you're submitting, right? Like trading cards, Funko Pops, video games, whatever. Although I don't know if they grade video games. I think
Video
WADA
games,
does.
yeah.
WADA grades video games, not PSA, but it says cards, Funko Pops, whatever. Then you pick what type of trading card. So it could be like oversized trading card or like small trading cards. You tell it like, tell the AI like, okay, it's this type of trading card. Then you select the tier at which you're going to grade. The tier is based on the value of the card once it's graded. So this week I have 2 submissions going out, one with the regular tier and one with like a higher tier. And the higher tier one is for more valuable cards. There's several different like cutoffs. And then you have to type in each set name, card number, and card name. And then it'll populate a list. And for some reason, it's always foreign languages first, it seems. So you have to scroll through the list to find the correct card. And then you have to put the estimated value of that card in the grade that you think it's going to get. And that's how they insure it against like damage and theft on the way to and from PSA. And then you do that for all the cards, and you'll get like a printout. So normally the printout's like 7-ish pages. And you do printouts for each one of the submissions. So I have 2 this week. Then you have to print a barcode, a special barcode for the 2 submissions, and attach it to the front of the box. And yeah, then that's it, really. You just include the paperwork, all the cards. The cards have to be packed a certain way, like between 2 pieces of cardboard, protected nicely. You send off the cards, the paperwork, and you put the barcode on the front of the box. The barcode, when they scan that barcode, it tells them this is submissions X, Y, and Z. We know how to, where this box needs to go, basically.
So yeah, this is why I pay you to do it and why I don't do it, because that all sounded very annoying.
It is annoying. Yeah, middlemaning PSA is annoying, for sure.
Well, you decided to do it as your career, so
that's definitely part of my job. Yeah.
You said they grade Funko Pops?
Yeah, PSA grades Funko Pops. Absolutely.
I didn't know that that's a thing.
It is a thing. Yeah, you have to send them in one of the plastic cases, like the acrylics.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure what they grade on. I would imagine it would be similar to cards where they grade on like surface condition, corner condition, sharpness of packaging, and then they look through at the Funko Pop itself and make sure that it's, produced well. I would imagine.
I have a created Funko Pop of myself. Do you think,
they'll
that
they're specific? So when they might assign a grade to the box because whoever makes Funkos, I don't know the company, but they like still manufactured and produced that item.
Funko makes Funkos.
There has to be a parent brand, but maybe not. I could be wrong. Yeah. Funko. Okay, so yeah. Funko manufactured the box, the packaging, and the Funko Pop, so they may grade it. But for example, if you're doing an autograph at PSA, if you're grading an autographed card, you have to select the person who signed the card. You have to look through the. You can see the heavy hitter collection back there because my hand was there. Oh man, it didn't stay that time. There's Lucario and Titar. You see him barely. Anyway,
for all of those listening on Spotify and Apple and Amazon, Collector clearly has ADHD.
Squirrel. Okay. What was I saying? Oh yeah, you have to put the name of the person who autographed the card, right? So you have to like search through, like when I did Tim Henson, the guitarist from Polyphia, he didn't exist in their database yet.
Mid-band.
Yeah, okay. Polyphia's top 5 all time. So I had to input Tim Henson, lead guitarist, Polyphia, blah, blah, blah. So you may have to do something like that with the Funko Pop, right? Like create a Funko, name, Funko
Zack
Zack
Mo.
Mo, whatever
Yeah.
it is, so that they would have something to put on the label. But
Now
yes, they
I
grade
have
Funkos. They grade coins as well, which we know because I have a green one.
it's a good looking one. I have two Funkos. I have one Nebula from Guardians of the Galaxy signed by Karen Gillian. Jillian, I don't know how to pronounce her last name.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a Chewbacca signed by Peter Mayhew, the
Mm-hmm.
original Chewbacca before he passed away. Now, do they authenticate the autograph as well?
Yeah, so you can pay for authentication and grading, two separate services. They can authenticate the autograph, and when you get your grade back, it'll just say authentic auto, meaning we at PSA say that, Peter Mayhew signed this, or they can grade the autograph and they'll say, out of the 10,000 examples of this signature that we've seen, this one is a grade 10, 9, 8, 7, etc., etc. And that has to do with like the ink smear, like if you're using a dead Sharpie versus a new Sharpie, or like what it signed on, if they signed it super quick or if they took their time with it. My two slabs that I graded, the two autos, the Tim Henson autos, had different auto grades, even though I watched him sign them on the same night.
Mm.
But one was early in the night and one was late in the night. And the late in the night one, you can see on the auto has less ink. Like the Sharpie was like running lower or whatever. Like it was like, it's not like a very clean, clear Sharpie line. So that one took a 7 on the autograph and the other one took an 8 on the autograph, which is interesting considering they didn't even have his autograph to begin with.
I also have a signed Mick Foley from
Sick.
WWE
Yeah,
Funko.
that's sick.
And it's funny because it's supposed to say to Zach, but it does not say Zach. I don't know what the hell it says, but
It's just
it
like a
doesn't say.
scribble.
Yeah, it does not say Zach. I got to
that's
bust that
that's
out
sick
one day
though.
and show you. Yeah, yeah, definitely really cool.
Mick Foley's super dope. I loved Mick Foley and his whole like character, all the characters, Cactus Jack,
Foley,
Socko, all of
Foley
it.
is God.
Yeah, he was the best. Mankind going through the cage with Taker,
Going off
insane.
the cage.
Well, so Mankind went off, but no, he went through too.
He
Or
did
did take?
both. He did both.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. He went through. Taker choke slammed him right through.
he went off at first, and then JR yells, "By God, he's broken in half!" And then they wheel him out on a stretcher, and Mick Foley gets up off the stretcher and says, "Fuck this, I ain't done." They climb back up to the top,
Yeah, I
and
watched
then
the
he
whole
choke slams
documentary
him
on
through.
it. You know that they
Yeah,
didn't know that he was going to go through.
yeah, no, I know. It was supposed to be. I was just watching on TikTok Mick Foley talk about it. He said that he was expecting him to do it like 3 or 4 times before it finally broke.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was just
And
like
then what
held
happened
together with
was
like rubber bands or something. He said it's
it
like
was
zip
zip
ties.
ties. Yeah, you're ding 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 ding, and then he said once he went through, there was a chair up there with them, and that came down with him and smacked off the mat
Oh
and
no.
went right into his face. So if you watch the rest
Oh
of
my
that
god.
match, and for anybody wondering, the match was 1997 King of the Ring. If you watch the rest of that match, Mick Foley has a tooth coming out of his nose
From the
because
chair.
it knocked his I think either one or two of his teeth went straight up, and it's coming out of his nose the rest of the match.
Unbelievable. Wrestling
And Undertaker
golden
fought that
era.
entire match with a broken ankle.
Golden era.
Yeah,
Golden era in
they don't
wrestling.
make them like they used to.
Well, I say that, but that's not necessarily true because didn't Lesnar recently, like in the last 5 years, fight a match with a broken neck? Or did they
Not
end the
that I'm
match
aware
really
of.
quickly after he broke his neck? He broke his neck doing a shooting star press.
You're you said last 5 years.
Yeah, I think so.
That was a good 20 years ago.
Dude, Brock Lesnar was alive 20 years ago. The guy's 20 years old.
He came in.
My sense
All
of
right,
time
now we're
is
going.
is is
My
warped. Wait,
wrestling
wait, wait.
nerdiness
So,
is about to pop out.
was it
He
Brock
came in the
Lesnar?
beginning.
Was
It
it
was. He
Brock
did a
Lesnar?
shooting star press.
Shooting
You're
star
correct
press
on the
broke his
move.
neck.
He tried to go further than he had, and he was wrestling Kurt Angle, and he didn't make it to Kurt Angle, and he landed and just like jolted his entire neck went in.
Yeah, right. He landed like on his head, right?
Yeah, and it like squished him in. But
Yeah.
that was a good 20 years ago.
No way. We'll have to
Yeah.
fact check that. That's crazy.
Oh,
That was 20
that
years ago?
yeah.
Bruh,
That was
I'm
a
such an
he
old
was
person.
still
Okay.
I couldn't tell you the last time Brock Lesnar did a shooting star press. That man can definitely not do a shooting star press nowadays.
Well, I think he like transitioned to the UFC, didn't he?
For a little bit, and then he came back to
Oh,
wrestling.
he's back in I have not been
Well, right
following.
now he's not. Right now he's currently in court for the
Okay, I don't
allegations
know this
against Vince
either.
McMahon. Yeah, he's also being accused of things alongside Vince McMahon, so he has to go to court.
Okay, I mean, I got to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if Vince McMahon got into some stuff, but
Are you
Lesnar, I'd
completely
be a
out of
little
the
bit more
loop?
surprised. Yeah, I'm completely out of the loop. I have not
Oh,
followed
he's been
professional
accused
wrestling.
of I don't know the exact accusations, but he was paying off a woman, um, it was sexual things,
Yeah, sure.
and like all
But
these
how did
text
Lesnar get
messages.
looped in? Do you know?
It was something in the text messages that indicated Lesnar was also a part of this sex
Okay,
scapades.
got it.
Yeah,
Very
w-
interesting. All right, now I got
wild
something new to
stuff.
research. I got
You
something
should
new to
definitely
research.
look up those text messages because they're wild. Especially with the thought of knowing that Vince McMahon was typing that. It's wild.
Maybe it was Shane typing it on his behalf.
I hope not. I like Shane.
He was always cool.
Also, speaking of Funkos, they just released an exclusive, Funko.com exclusive, Qui-Gon Jinn and Darth Maul
Sick.
2-pack from the Phantom Menace when they fought on Tatooine for the first time. Of course, I had to pick that up.
Got to get it.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
you're still
no
collecting
doubt.
Funkos. You said you weren't, but you still are.
I haven't bought a Funko in so long. I think that's my
But you
first
bought
Funko purchase of 2024.
good. That's good, man.
I
It's good to keep collecting what you love.
It's mostly because Darth Maul and Qui-Gon Jinn are two of the greatest characters of Star Wars.
Darth Maul might be my all-time favorite character.
Now, I'm going to assume that you didn't watch the Clone Wars,
I think I watched the Clone Wars.
the cartoon.
It was the cartoon, but it had um I'm
You
like
got it.
I'm a little bit out of my Star Wars knowledge. I watched Clone Wars as a series, I believe, when I was watching it.
Okay, yeah. So it is a series. Um,
What's the
written
name
by
of like the white like robotic character in Clone Wars?
you stumped me. The white robotic character.
Maybe it's not Clone Wars that I'm thinking of then. But I remember watching a cartoon briefly. I don't think I watched the whole thing. But who's the General Grievous? He's not in
Oh,
Clone
okay,
Wars.
yeah, yeah. He is. He is. He is.
Okay, there it is. General Grievous.
The
That's what I
white
was thinking of.
robotic thing. All right, yeah. He's kind of gray, but I'll give it to you.
Yeah, and as I said General Grievous, I remembered more of like a mechanized gray with like a cape, right?
Yeah,
In
yeah,
in
and
Clone Wars.
lungs. Yeah, and he has lungs. It's
Yeah,
weird.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But going back to Clone Wars is written by Dave Filoni, fantastic writer. I think he tells the best Star Wars stories in my opinion. Um, he made such a great character arc for Maul, and not a lot of people know that because not a lot of people watch the Clone Wars. They see a cartoon, they think it's cheesy. Yeah, it's cheesy
Mhm.
at times, but the writing. So most people when they watch Star Wars, all they see is that Darth Maul gets cut in half, and that's the end of it. But he has a whole character arc in Clone Wars that I highly recommend if you are a fan of Star Wars. Give it a watch.
Yeah, I haven't watched Star Wars since entering adulthood in my in a cinematic way. Like I started watching movies differently as I got a little bit older.
Mhm.
And I don't think I've rewatched Star Wars since then.
Well, I can
Um,
tell you right now, you can skip episode 7, 8, 9.
those are the newest ones. I don't even know if I've seen them. I think
You
I
don't
maybe
need to.
saw episode 7.
The Force Awakens.
Yeah, I
They
think I saw that.
they completely butchered it. Um, I
I saw
mean,
the ones that went straight to Netflix. Um, or maybe I did see them.
Netflix.
Maybe I did see all of them. What's the one with Ray? Is that the Force Awakens?
There's Force Awakens. She's in all three. Force
I
Awakens,
think I just saw the first one, Force Awakens, and I think I
The
saw it
Last Jedi,
on
and then
not
Return of
Netflix,
Skywalker.
Disney Plus,
Okay, yeah.
because it came out. Didn't it come out after The Mandalorian?
No.
Came out before The Mandalorian?
Yes.
Well, I watched The Mandalorian, and The Mandalorian was sick. I loved that. And then maybe it
Fantastic
came
writing.
up on like my suggested or something, the Force
Maybe.
Awakens, and I ended up watching it. It was
It was
okay.
all right. Yeah, I mean, it
BB-8
was
was
okay.
okay. I had a BB-8 Funko Pop actually.
Of course you did.
I did. Yeah. I think I
He
still have
has
it
some
out of
white on him, I
box.
think. He's white and
Yeah,
orange.
he's a white robot, white orange
Yeah,
robot. I
there
could
you go.
definitely picture BB-8. General Grievous, it's been a little bit longer. I had to jog my memory to remember his name.
Fun fact, you know who Bill Hader is?
Comic?
Yeah, SNL.
Yeah. Yes.
He actually did some of the voice recordings for BB-8.
Oh, really? That's fun. I didn't know
Yeah,
that. Oh, very
I enjoy
interesting.
him. He's very funny.
So I
So how was?
feel like I interrupted you just like I
Mhm.
just did again right now
Yeah, I was
when
just
you were
about to say
talking,
that.
or somehow we got like way off track, but we were talking about your week in collecting. You said you pulled the gold Arcus, I believe you called it.
Arceus.
I
Yes.
know it's Arceus, but I think you pronounced Arcus. What? And I feel like we were going to talk about something else, and then we derailed onto PSA. Am I wrong about that?
I think you are. I think
Okay.
I was going to talk about the Funko Pop, the Darth
Mm.
Maul Qui-Gon.
Mm. Dude, we landed
Because
anyway. We're the best at this shit.
hey, this is what we do, baby. So what I
So
was gonna say
someone
before you interrupted, there he goes again.
we're good at
Go
we're
ahead.
really good at that. No, you go.
Yeah. No, you go.
Somebody asked on the stream if we could talk about collecting as a beginner, like entering the hobby. They're specifically referring to Pokemon, but entering the hobby in like the current landscape. And
Well, let's talk
I thought it was a
Pokemon.
really cool idea. I thought it was a cool thing to talk about, and I'd love to to talk about some like beginner friendly tips. I feel like you restarted Pokemon recently. Was
Yeah.
it like way different than what you expected?
Uh. Yeah. Yeah. I could definitely say that. Because like when I started, it was just the basic cards. There was no crazy arts or anything like that. Nowadays, I mean, you got all these
Right.
art rares, secret art rares. It's definitely a lot more wild, and I think
Yeah, I
it
think
makes
there's more layers to it. It's way more complex than
yeah,
when we were
definitely.
kids.
I mean, not way more complex, but it's complex.
Well, the game is way more complex. The TCG is a viable game now. When we were kids, the
Right.
TCG was horrendous. Like, I mean, it was fun. Don't get me wrong, but like, it was mod. Let me rephrase that. It was modeled for children. The TCG that we knew as kids. It
I just
wasn't
recently
modeled
played
for
Pokemon TCG for the Game Boy
yeah.
because they have it available on the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
So I downloaded it. That game is hella fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I play TCG live on my phone sometimes, and I think the modern cards are all based around the idea that they want the TCG to be competitive for both adults and children. There was no real substance to it back in the day. I mean, you would play like a haymaker deck, and it was like, okay, who can KO?
Right.
Who can KO six Scythers first, basically. Um,
Right.
and it just wasn't very. Uh, there weren't too many layers to it. But now, because of all these new variations, not necessarily the arts on them, but because of all the new variations like terrestrialized Pokemon and things like that, there's a ton of complexity to the TCG, and that makes
Does
collecting, I think, intimidating.
Terrastalize does Terrastalize have something to do with the TCG?
Yeah, it changes typing. So a terrestrialized Pokemon, they put a Terra hat on it. So like the Mewtwo EX from Obsidian Flames, I believe.
It's lightning, right?
Yeah, it's electric type. So you
Right.
have
Well, I
dual
mean
typing.
that doesn't dual typing or just one.
Well, you have the advantages of both. I think the weakness and like double when it's like double effective. I believe that's impacted by the Terra. I haven't played any Terra. but I believe so. Let me see if I have one.
That's interesting.
So here's Greninja Terra in my hand,
Mm-hmm.
and it's fighting type. That's double effective against Psychic.
Oh, wasn't it always like a
No,
fighting
it's a
type? No, psychic is good
Greninja's a
against.
water type.
Right. No, I know that. But what I'm saying is, all right, I'm confusing myself. Isn't fighting weak to psychic?
No,
Like,
no.
that's debatable because
Psychic's weak
that's
to Psychic.
no, fighting is also weak to psychic. That's how I beat the dojo in Saffron City every time and got myself either a Hitmonlee or a Hitmonchan.
I think Psychic is resistant to fighting, but I don't think fighting is weak to Psychic.
Now I'm pretty sure it is.
All right. Well,
'Cause
regardless, we'll look into
regardless,
that.
I'm right.
Regardless, I'm right. I was looking at cards as you were saying it, looking at their typing, and Psychic types are resistant to fighting types. They take 30 less damage from a fighting type.
Right, and they're stronger against.
I guess that would make sense.
Yeah, because that's how I beat the dojo in Saffron City and got myself a Hitmonlee or a Hitmonchan every time.
So Iron Boulder fighting type is double effective against grass, but doesn't have a weakness listed TCG wise. Not that it lines up with the VGC, but for the TCG, it does not have.
And for those of you that are very confused, TCG is trading card game, and VCG is that what you said?
VGC, yeah,
VGC
video
is
game card
gone.
something. There's a virtual version, virtual trading card game, maybe virtual card game,
virtual game card.
something. I don't know what it stands for, but we have tournaments at the shop I work at like twice a week.
With the virtual way?
Yeah, VGC tournaments. It's like
And that's
50
what
people with Nintendo
are for?
Switches. No. Totally different. They have
So it's not cards. It's competitive Pokemon battling. It's not the cards.
Yeah, but digital. Yes. So they all have Nintendo Switches.
You say digital as if Pokemon are in real life.
Well, the cards are in real life, but what I mean is it's not like TCG Live on your phone. It's
right. Okay.
It's more similar to
it's battling
Scarlet
with either Violet and Scarlet. Yeah, exactly.
Right. It's not using the code cards to create a deck of cards. You're battling in a more immersive arena.
Pokemon you've trained.
I don't know if they train them actually.
Oh, they train them. Trust me, they train them.
All right. Well, there you go.
IV train them. Clearly, someone doesn't play a lot of video games.
No, I played no video games. I have no time to play video games. I wish I had more time to play video games.
I got you into Red Dead.
I played like 14 hours of Red Dead Redemption, and then that was it. No more video games. That's how I do though. Like I just like go really hard for a very short stint, and then I'm out. I can't even I'm not even motivated to turn it on again. I'm always working.
Oh, yeah.
Always working.
Always working. So back to beginners. We kind of steered away for a minute there.
Yeah. Let's okay, so the question was it different this time than what you expected?
Yeah, it was definitely.
Right.
I don't know what I expected going into it.
Well, you found collecting through the stream, right?
Well, so like,
or you refound collecting, I mean.
Right. Well, what year did XY Evolutions come out?
2016.
Okay, so I bought some packs then, me and my friend George. He had started collecting and he was like, "Hey, let's just go buy some Pokemon cards." And I was like, "Screw it, why not?" So
did you go to Vertigo for them? What was the name of the shop?
No, I didn't go to Lotus.
Lotus.
We went to a local card shop called Royal Collectibles.
Okay.
Really awesome place. And because I remember specifically getting, because I asked the guy, I said, "What should I get?" And he was like, "Well, what kind of Pokemon are you collecting?" And I told him I haven't collected since back in the day. He
Yeah,
said you should
XY
get some XY
Evolutions.
Evolutions. Yeah,
Yeah,
he said it's all the same arts. So I was like, all right, cool. So I collected some of that maybe for like, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks, and then I stopped again.
back when
And
the packs were
then
like $3 a piece.
something like that, yeah.
Yeah,
What are they, 30 now? And
roughly. Yeah.
so then yeah, then I refound it on TikTok. I refound my joy of buying Pokemon cards. I
But
got stuck in this stream called the Collectors Club, and the next thing I know, here we are
so
pulling
what's
gold
interesting,
Arceuses.
pulling gold Arcus. What's interesting is that I also re-entered the space via TikTok.
Now, did you
Prior,
re-enter as a collector beginning?
yeah,
I mean, yeah, before you started the
before
business,
I started
you were
streaming
buying.
and selling, I was a collector. I was purchasing.
Okay.
I was purchasing from a few different streamers on TikTok, and I entered in a lot of giveaways on TikTok. I was like very my finances were extremely tight at that point. So I entered giveaways all the time. And it was like thrilling for me. I really enjoyed doing these giveaways or entering these giveaways. And then I started to see this thing where like this guy was doing these giveaways, and at the time TikTok was totally different. And people were giving him gifts like nonstop for running these giveaways. And like I'm talking, this guy was clearing like a couple $100 in tips every night. And I was like, I could do that. Like I have all these cards that I've won from giveaways, and I bought a few times on streams. Like I need a couple extra $100 a month to pay this mortgage on this house I just bought. Like, let me try this. So I decided I would try. The first thing I decided was like, oh, let me try to get 1,000 followers. So I decided to try to get 1,000 followers, and I did that. If you look back on my old videos on my profile, not that there's that many to go through, they're all giveaways. And it's like, okay,
Mhm.
when I reach 100 followers, I'll give away this card. When I reach 500 followers, I'll give away this box, whatever, whatever. So I got to 1,000 followers. And when I first started streaming, I wasn't selling anything. There was no shopcollectorsclub.com. There was no inventory. There was nothing. I was strictly giving cards away when I first started.
Mhm.
And I was like I did like a raffle the first night, and I had like a slab that I had won or something, and I was going to raffle it off. And I got violated like on my first stream. TikTok shut it down like 20 minutes in,
For
because you're not allowed
gambling.
to do yeah, for gambling. You can't do raffles. I didn't know any of this, dude. Like I was like so new to all this. And I was like, well, that stinks. And I was like super disappointed. And I was like so butthurt about the whole thing. But I just kept like pushing and kept trying. And I came back and streamed a few more times. And people started asking, like, hey, do you have anything I can buy? And at that point, like I had bought a few things that I was planning to give away that were sealed. I was like, well, I mean, I guess, yeah, like I have this blah, 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 like Pokemon Go ETB. Pokemon Go had like just come out at that time when I first started to stream to sell.
Mhm.
And yeah, it just escalated from there. And then it became what it is today. Like totally changed. And now you can't do giveaways that way anymore on TikTok. So sadly, I can't do that anymore. But
So going back to beginning collecting.
yeah, which we'll talk about eventually. But the point I'm driving home is that I also came back into collecting through TikTok. And I feel like this modern age of collecting is very different. Um I have a few different like things that I was thinking about the the dangers in purchasing online from people that you don't know, and then and then like the flip side of that, like the positives of purchasing from people online. Um But for somebody who's like just starting out, just coming into the hobby, like what are some things you wish you knew like a year ago about Pokemon collecting?
Don't spend so much money.
Okay, I think
I don't know. I don't have an
I
answer
think
for that.
no. I think that's super important. It's just funny the way you said it, but I think that's extremely important, and I think it ties into so many different things. The first thing I think
Pace
of is
yourself.
I think that's one of the things for sure. Having a budget. FOMO was the first thing that came to my mind, but pacing we can
Mm,
talk about first if you want. Like either way, like
well,
people
I mean, they
should
go hand
have
in hand.
they do. You should have
Yeah.
people should have like a collection budget. Like this is my fun money. I can spend this money and it doesn't matter what happens with it. Like, this is
Right.
entertainment money. Think of it as like buying a movie ticket or like having a night out on the town or whatever it is you like to do for fun. Because when you're first starting, odds are you don't really have enough knowledge to make strategic purchases that are going to net you income. Like, that's not what collecting is about,
Well,
especially in the beginning.
they might not be collecting to net income in general at all.
But I feel like the landscape right now suggests that, like, if you buy Pokemon cards, you're going to make money. Like
That's
everybody's
fair.
like
Yeah.
chasing these expensive cards, right? Like, oh, this card's worth $1,000, and like people are opening these packs expecting this crazy return on investment, and that's simply just not the case. So, I think the first thing I would do if I were like gonna try to create like a perfect
Game
uh
plan.
yeah, game plan. Perfect. Thank you. A perfect game plan for
For
collecting.
those
The
who don't
first
know,
thing,
we often say that collector has fish brain.
yes, I do have fish brain. That would
So
be the
it's like
first thing I would do though.
yeah,
Is make a budget of some kind. And I wouldn't stick to it necessarily, but like, look, at least I took I took the action and I made the budget, right? So if you're like a new collector, have some kind of like financial boundaries in mind. Because I've been streaming for years now, and I can't tell you how many times I've had these people come into my streams and spend, large sums of money for very short periods of time, a month, 2 months, 3 months, and then be in my DMs 4 months in. Hey, I need to sell my whole collection. Or, hey, something came up. Or, do you know how I can, make money off these products? It happens time and time and time again. And people overspend and they get themselves into pickles. So if I were like giving somebody a guideline, the first thing I would say is like figure out how much money you can spend on Pokemon that makes it enjoyable. Somebody today was messaging me about making like a bulk purchase of sealed product. And they were like, I don't know how you do this all the time. How do you buy this much quantity of stuff at a time? This is stressing me out. And I was like, stop. Like, I don't even want to sell you this. Like, only buy the quantity that isn't going to stress you out. Like, it shouldn't be stressful,
no,
you
yeah, it should
know?
be fun. Yeah,
It's supposed to be fun. It's
right.
not supposed to be stressful. If you're stressing about the quantity of money you're about to spend, you probably shouldn't be spending that amount of money. Straight up.
That's true. Yeah,
If you're like, I really don't know. I don't know if I can part with this money. What if the market changes? Like, leave those worries to business owners. That's not what a collector needs to be worrying about.
the market is going to change.
Absolutely. It always does. It goes up, it goes
Yeah,
down.
yeah, yeah,
Sometimes it's flat, it's always changing.
yeah.
And to come in as a collector expecting what you see on YouTube when you open up YouTube and type in Pokemon and it's like alt arts to the moon, which is
Right.
true right now. They are going well. Now they're actually steadying and actually pulling back a little bit. But I think it's very important to have a game plan, financially speaking, when you're coming into
So
collecting.
from my side, um, I started back up not in the mindset of making money.
Right.
So my game plan would be to find a set that you look at the
Mm.
cards and you think are pretty dope and you'd like to have some of that in a binder. You'd like to have them in, your collection. That's what I did. Because when I started buying again, 151 had just come out. And I was
That's
like, all
funny,
right,
bro.
these
Base
cards
set
are
X,
really
Y,
dope.
and 151. Like, tell me you love the big three without telling me you love the big three.
Yeah, yeah, I'm old school. So when I started, 151 had like just came out, and I was like, all right, cool. So that's what I'm gonna collect right now. And the full intention was I just want some of these cards. And then it turned
Right.
into I'm gonna master this set, which I did, minus 2 promo cards. But it turned into that as if I never had the expectation of like, I'm gonna buy these, I'm gonna sell these. That's
How
how
long
I
after you
think.
started buying did that idea start kind of seeping in of like, oh, there's money tied to this on the other side, not
when
just
I
spending but making.
started when I started pulling cards that did not hold any value to me personally, but that held value to the market.
That's a
So when
really
that
interesting
happened,
point.
because I mean, I was pulling cards like the Arceus I just pulled. That has no
Mhm.
value to me. I want to grade it and I want to sell it
Yep.
because I don't care to, personally, I don't care to have that in a binder. It's a dope card.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. It's an awesome looking card. It's just not something that I personally will look at and be like, oh, that's really fucking. I'm glad I have that.
Yeah.
So for me, that's a card that I would sell. But like mastering 151, like we already said, I'm old school Pokemon. So like that was definitely a set that I wanted to have in a binder.
Yeah. That's a really good point. Like pick one set and stick to it. I've said that
Well, not
to
even I wouldn't even say stick to it. I'd say stick to it for a good period amount of time before you get fatigued over it.
sure.
Because I mean, like I pulling Paldean Fates, I have to give myself a break
Yeah.
because I get really fatigued opening
Mhm.
those and getting the same crap over and over and over
Yeah.
again. It's like I need to take a
Yeah.
little break from that.
It's lost its luster. And when you pull 800 shiny Rev of Rooms,
You're telling me. I don't know how many times I can say dono in the chat.
well, speaking
But
of
then
Dono in the chat, what affected community have on your like early stages of collecting?
what do you mean? Elaborate.
What impacted having a stream community, whether it was in the collectors club or other streams? What impact did that have on your collecting when you
Oh,
were
it
first
helped.
starting out?
I mean, it helped tenfold. Um,
Because the reason I ask is there's a lot of people that say like don't buy online, like don't buy, or not like from like an online retailer, but like don't buy in streams.
as a collector myself, I am very grateful that I found your stream and found the little community that you have built because mastering the set had become so much easier where I didn't have to spend so much money every freaking time because I would be able to trade with people.
Right.
And I think that the trading in the community is such a huge thing between, community members. I totally am grateful. I think that had a huge impact on my collecting because I'd probably still be trying to master 151 if it
Yeah.
wasn't for,
I
being able to
remember
trade with
when
people.
all those trades were happening. I remember that pretty distinctly. That little time period. Were you in any were you involved in any other communities before getting involved in the collectors club and any other like stream communities? I mean,
No,
no. Okay,
I had bought from one other stream only because they had the 151 binder and poster set and you did not. Uh, and I had talked to the guy a couple of times, like, throughout that day, but that was the only other community that I really ever dabbled in. And I wouldn't even
got
say
it.
I
Okay,
dabbled in it because I talked to him and that's it. So
yeah.
calm down. My loyalty is with you.
No. It has nothing to do with that. I want perspective. Um, I was involved in a few before I started streaming, a few other like stream communities, and I remember like the first time somebody gave a card away to me, and I was like blown away. That was like the coolest thing ever. I remember feeling
You gave
so
me a
excited.
slab. You gave me
Oh,
a
did I?
slab. It was a Dragonite slab. I still have it. It was a gift. I would never sell that. I think I might have donoed something. And like I was still fresh in your stream. And you're like, oh, I got to give you something for that. And like I was thinking, all right, cool, he's gonna give me a card. You pulled out the goddamn slab and said, you can't say anything, it's already in your package. And I was like, all right, I like this guy. I'll stick
Oh,
around
that's
for a
funny.
little bit.
I gotta tell you, I don't remember doing that, but that sounds like something I would absolutely do.
Yeah, you told me I wasn't allowed to say no and that it was already in my package.
Perfect. That's exactly what I would do again if I had the opportunity. And I mean,
He
I try
he
to
was
do
a
stuff
good
like that all the
businessman.
time. I try to do stuff, yeah, try to do that all the time. If you've seen The Wire, you got to give them a free taste. Just kidding.
Very true.
I
And for those who
kind
don't know
of.
what he's talking about drugs.
I am. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about addiction and collecting for beginners. Do
I
you feel
totally
like,
thought we were gonna talk about drugs.
well, I mean, we're talking about addiction. It's the same,
Yeah,
along the
go on.
same, along the
Pokemon is
same
our drug.
vein, if you will,
Yeah.
along the same
Ha!
vein.
I have the needle for it.
uh, oh yeah, because you're diabetic. I was like, wow, that's
Yep.
dark, but it's less dark. Um, do you think that there's an addiction aspect that happens to people?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. When when 151 was out and I was buying, there was a moment where I had to be like, all right, time to budget,
Got it.
because I had to. I definitely felt the addiction. I have an addictive personality. I have a very habitual personality, and I
Mm,
felt it coming on. And I was like, all right, I need to start setting myself a budget. I need to limit myself to that budget weekly, and I need to stay there. And luckily, I had the self control
right.
to stick to
Some
my
people
budget.
definitely just don't.
Yeah, no, I mean,
But
I
I
see
mean,
people all the time in stream that are like, "Oh, this is my last one." The next thing you
yeah,
know, they have like three
uh,
more boxes.
right. Yeah, and I think that happens in the store too. Like I've shared my office is in a Pokemon store, and people will come in the same way in person. They'll buy 5 packs, open them up, not get what they want, and then buy 10 more. So it's not limited to just the streaming. I think it's easier probably on
I
a
was just
stream
gonna
because you
say
just
it's
tap it
so
on the
much
glass.
easier.
You got
Definitely a lot easier.
your little black mirror giving you exactly what you want. We talked about how scary that is last week, but
Yeah,
um, I think that it's definitely problematic for some people. But what you brought up was like, okay, I got to slow down. I got to set a budget. So I'm glad we covered that early. Like first thing to do if you're brand new in here, like figure out how much money you can spend on Pokemon because you're
yeah,
gonna
definitely
be spending
start a
money.
budget. Start a budget before you get to the point that I was at,
Yeah,
where you're sitting there and you're
or
like, "Oh
and the
crap."
point where a lot of people get to. I
Yeah,
see it all the
exactly.
time, all the time. I tell people all the time in the stream, like, stop, like, what are you doing? Why are you buying? Like, don't buy this right now. We
And then
joke
he tells
around
them
and
to
I'm like,
buy it and open it. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
only like people who I've gotten to know, really.
Yeah, no, I'm only kidding.
I give out a disclaimer. I mean, I'm kind of passionate about it. I give out a disclaimer like, don't ask me. I'm the wrong guy to ask. I own this business. Of course, it's in my best interest for you to buy whatever product you're asking me about. But if it's like a regular, like somebody who I know, I'm like, you like how many like have I banned you for a weekend
You've said it.
and
I
then
don't
you
think
didn't do
you.
it, didn't listen?
I think once or twice you were like, because I told you, all right, I can't buy any more this weekend, and then like I'll buy
Oh
a few
yeah,
more
and then you
packs,
like
and
randomly
then
show up and buy stuff, and I'm like, what are you doing? You said you weren't supposed to
yeah,
buy anything.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
and I banned Cody for a
but I
weekend.
had a budget. I had a budget, and I had disposable. I had a
Right.
disposable
Okay.
budget for that.
So you could do it. But I've banned people for weekends before, like kind of jokingly, but also not. Like if you're
Don't
running,
buy anymore. Yeah.
if you're running poorly and you're not pulling well, like just cool it for the weekend. You can always come back and
Oh,
buy
if
more.
I'm not pulling well, you won't see me buying for the rest of the weekend.
Eh, is that we came up with a
Most of the
nickname,
time.
a Zack Mo box, specifically when people don't pull well. They call it a Zack Mo ETB.
Yeah, and that's the only thing that I'll buy that night. When I know it's Zack Mo ETB, I'm not buying anything else.
Well, we broke the curse this week. We really hit well for you on Crown. What
Yeah, you
else would
pulled another
you?
card for me that was good.
Yeah, it was.
Gardenia? Card?
Oh yeah,
Garden?
Gardenia's Vigor, beautiful card. Love that card. That's like
Mhm.
one of my actual,
See,
honestly, one of my favorites.
that's a card I immediately said to somebody, "Do you need this? Because I'm willing to trade
Oh
it."
my gosh, bro, I love that card.
Well,
Absolutely
I'm
love it.
trading it, and you
I
can't
had
have
it
it.
in my collection. I no longer have it, but my collection again is very tied to my business, so things are a little bit different. Um, but I love that card. I've ever since it came out. I've probably had 15 different copies of that card at various different
Yeah,
points.
it's all right.
I
Then
love
again,
it.
like
I
I
think it's
said, it doesn't
beautiful.
mean anything to me, so I'm
Right.
perfectly happy,
I,
willing to trade it.
I like cards with like really intriguing artworks. That's my my lane lately, you know. I
Mm.
really love anything that Kamiya has done. He's an illustrator. I love Kamiya stuff. I really like the Luminion alt from Crown Zenith. Super random, but I love that
That
card. I
is a
love the
nice
way it
card.
looks.
That is a nice
And,
card.
doesn't like financially not a super valuable card, but I think it's beautiful. Same with Gardenia's Vigor. I love that card. Gardenia, however you say it. I've always said Gardenia. Just
Garden,
cards that I
Gardenia,
like,
I don't
you
know.
know. What else would you tell Zack Mo when he started collecting if you could go back in time? Have a budget.
Don't do
We
it.
just
Don't do it.
don't do it. I mean, I think don't do it is a great advice for like a FOMO moment. You want to like have you
Oh yeah,
experienced have you
I
experienced
have.
some FOMO?
Oh, when a set releases, the
Mm,
FOMO. Excuse that beeping if you heard that. That's just my insulin pump. Um, the FOMO when a set releases and everybody's buying boxes and they're buying
yeah.
ETBs, and I'm sitting there waiting for my paycheck to come in
Mm,
because I want to get in on the action, or even if I don't necessarily want to buy, but the FOMO is real. Like I remember when Paldean Fates came out, and there was somebody, a regular, um was buying like 6 to 10 ETBs at a pop,
yeah.
and they were
Oh, yeah.
pulling the Bubble Mew and the Charizard and all that at once. And I was sitting there like, "Yo, I need to buy a ETB. Like I'm missing, pulling one of these awesome cards. I didn't buy
Mhm.
one, and I still don't have a Charizard in hand, but definitely the FOMO
You
was
still
real.
never pulled that?
No,
Mm.
you would
All
know.
right,
You pull all my
we gotta
cards.
work on that. I forget, dude. I pull a lot of
It's
cards.
on
I've
its way
probably
to you.
pulled.
Somebody's trading it to me. It's on its way to you.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah. Buck sent it.
Yeah.
Um, I hope people don't mind that I like dox them. Nobody who's listening to this who doesn't come into the stream knows who we're talking about anyway.
Now we're shouting
Um,
out all the friends. Shout
yeah,
out
yeah, we do.
Jamie's
I mean,
getting my Gardenia.
we do have like
Shout
a
out,
real community of people.
shout
Oh,
out
those are
Special
some
K and Jeremy.
authentic NYC sirens in the background there.
I was really hoping that didn't come through.
Oh, it came through loud and clear. I love it.
Well, they're out.
Authentic.
They're out there. It's because they heard I have the
Damn,
needle.
I was just gonna change topics to something. I can't remember what it was. Something to do with the FOMO. Um,
Fish brain.
King Fish Brain, at it again, bro. At it again. Damn. All right, you can ask a question or something. Talk about something until I remember what the heck I just forgot.
I'd like to shout out some people.
Yeah, go ahead. Do your shout outs. I heard you shout out Special K and Jeremy. Shout out.
Shout out Deidre Charlie. I'd like to shout out Garrett for telling us
Engaged
the
in the Collectors
fantastic.
Club.
Okay. Interrupt me again. Shout out Garrett for asking us to talk about, beginners. It was a fantastic topic to ask about. I'd also like to say, if you're listening to this, and you have any questions you'd like us to answer, if you have a specific question for a collector, if you have a specific question for Zack Mo about his needles and insulin pump going off in the middle of this, feel free to join the Discord. And we have a special channel there called the Collective, and you can leave your questions there, and we will definitely be sure to get to them. Also, you can leave comments on YouTube. I know some people are probably listening on Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcast, and Amazon Music. You can't really leave a comment there, so I definitely would recommend joining the Discord. Or you can always follow us on TikTok, Instagram. Our ats are right under our lovely pictures here. But if you are on one of those things, you're not going to see our lovely pictures, so that was incorrect. It's at Zack Mo Martin and at collector_MCB.
I remembered. That was perfect. I wanted
Good.
to talk about the FOMO, like what happens if people FOMO. I've seen this like time and time again. So FOMO, if you don't know FOMO's fear of missing out. So let's say you FOMO into a set, right? And you just start buying and buying and buying, and the cards are super, super hot. What are you laughing at?
I keep thinking of FOMO. The way you keep using it makes me want to say that's what she said.
Okay. So well,
You
anyways,
FOMO'd into a set.
you
Go ahead.
FOMO into a set, right? You buy the set because it's hot at that time. And the cards are pretty expensive. When sets first come out, cards are at pretty much their most expensive.
Yes.
Many years later, they'll be worth more. But when a set first drops, the cards are typically at their most expensive. And then we see like these graphs of cards, right? And you'll see like release week or the pre-release week, the cards are very expensive, then a sharp decline. And the cards lose tons of value as more and more and more and more are opened and more hit the market. The cards become a little bit cheaper and the singles become a little bit cheaper. And then some will appreciate in value and some will depreciate in value. And people kind of like the broader audience kind of like loses interests in sets as they get a little bit older. And then eventually there's this sweet spot that we hit. And it's like where we are right now with the Scarlet Violet era. We are in the sweet spot So Scarlet Violet base set, just barely cracking $100 a box. There was a time, Black Friday, there were places wholesaling those boxes for everyday consumers at like $85 a booster box, which is insane. That's like cheaper than distribution pricing. These people were taking a loss just to move the product.
Mhm.
And then we hit these sweet spots with sets where the attention kind of is on one thing. Like right now it's on Sword and Shield alt arts and still a little bit on Sun and Moon, and also kind of looking forward into art rares. But the boxes become relatively cheap as people are putting their attention elsewhere. That's the time to buy.
So you're saying
Paldea,
with FOMO is, yeah, you're missing out, but hold out.
waiting is
Wait.
so much better. I think that when a new set comes out, if someone has a collecting budget, they should budget for the new set, because
Mhm.
ripping the newest stuff is super, super fun.
Yeah.
But trying to master the set in 2 weekends and buying and buying and buying and buying and buying, like,
If you're doing that, I want
it's
to know what you do for a living, and please get me a job.
it's just not it's not necessary. But you see it all the time, right? Like, you're in the stream all the time. People go
Yeah, yeah, no,
crazy
I
when a
see
new
it.
set comes out. It's
Yeah.
like bizarre, you know? And of course, I'm almost like shooting myself in the foot from a business standpoint, telling people to hold off on the new stuff. But I mean, if you want to know, if you're a beginner and you really want to know, like, the best way, financially speaking, to get into collecting, like, be patient. You have a little bit of time. You don't have unlimited time. Things always go up in price, but you have
Right.
time, and there is a sweet spot. And I've been saying
Especially
it
with a new
for
set. A new set, you have time. It's not
you
like
have
you're gonna be
yes,
not in print in a month. Like, you have time.
right, right. Twilight Masquerade, as of right now, is looking like it's going to be a bit of an exception to that rule. Twilight Masquerade was printed in a much smaller quantity, and it's already a little bit harder for me to get restocks on. I sold way more than I anticipated, and I'm already paying more now than what I paid the first time to get it. So it's a weird one. They may print more, but as of right now, it's a little bit hard to get. Same with 151, like almost impossible to get English 151.
Well,
But
that
most
also came
sets,
out in like October, right?
yeah, but it should have had a big reprint by now, and it hasn't. So that one's weird. That's a very tough set to get. Normally, sets are in stock at a low price for a very long time. Like Fusion Strike was under MSRP for 2.5 years.
Dang. And now it's going up because of the alt arts,
Well,
right?
and now it's insane. Yeah, and Fusion
Right.
Strike is like 260 a box or 250 a box or something like that.
Wild.
Um, but it was for a very long time. That set was very cheap. We'll see it with like Obsidian Flames. That set will be cheap for a very long time.
I
You'll
like that
also,
set.
well, some people like it, but it's
There's a
not
lot of cool
in
Zards in
favor.
that one.
Yes, it's a cool Charizard set, but other than the Charizards and the Ninetales, it's considered a weak set comparatively to the sets that surround it.
That is a nice Ninetales.
Yeah, it's the best Ninetales art we've ever had, I think, personally.
Yeah.
But the set right before it, Paldea, is way stronger than Obsidian in terms of overall what's in the set. And
Mhm.
then 2 sets after it is also way stronger, right? Paradox, Temporal, starting to tick up. If you look at the market, they're starting to tick up in price. Like right now, that feeling that you just had, like, the sets are okay. That's what the general market feels on these sets right now. And the point I'm trying to convey is that's the time to buy those sets, because in 6
When Zack
months,
Mo goes, eh.
well, when the general market is feeling that way, right? In 6 months, we're going to look back and be like, whoa, what happened? Paradox Rift is $160 a box. When did that happen? Right? Because people kind of forget about it and their focus is elsewhere because there's so much product on the market right now. Pokemon is pumping out this product for us. So I think it's really important to just like zoom out a little bit and take your time. I think what you said about picking a set that you like or picking cards that you like, right? Like, let's say you don't necessarily like one set, but you really like art rares, right? You just like
Right.
that style of card, collect the art rares, right?
Yeah.
That's what you should be pulling for. Or if you really like golds, or if you really like whatever, it doesn't matter. I like art by Kamiya. That's like what I like to collect. That's what I have 2 binders right now. I have a Gengar binder and a Kamiya binder. And then I
You
have
have
my
4
slap
binders.
case. Oh, well, of course I have the Pikachu and the Palafin binder.
Yes.
Yeah. But I was working on the Trainer Gallery binder and the Galarian Gallery binder, completed it. It's gone. Sold it.
So those you were just collecting to sell it?
No, I loved them. I really did, but I'm not going to hold them forever. And I buy into the hype, I sell into the hype is what I meant to say. I'm not buying when things are going up in price. That's when I'm selling. Right.
Right.
I
Okay.
started collecting trainer galleries and started that master set 2 years ago. Well, a year and a half ago. And
Damn.
when those trainer galleries came out, I said, these are going to be extremely expensive. And I got them when they were 75 cents a piece. That
And they were really
Umbreon
expensive when
VMAX
you
was
sold it.
much more expensive. I don't know exactly what I paid for the Umbreon VMAX, the Brilliant Stars Umbreon VMAX, but it was under $10 when I bought it. And when I sold the Trainer Gallery collection, that card was worth $60, and it's since backed off again. But I
Hmm.
sold like at the time. That card's now like $45, but still, right? And I use that money to then put back into the business and buy other cool things for us and do giveaways and blah, 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 blah. But knowing enough about the Pokemon market isn't as complex as it seems. Like, you don't need to be a fortune teller to understand this stuff. Pokemon's been out for a long time. And
Right.
historically, the same thing happens all the time. Set comes out, very, very, very hot. All of a sudden, not quite so hot anymore. The prices back off. People lose interest. Nobody buys it. It sits, it sits, it sits. Very, very slowly, it gets ripped open. Quantity dwindles. People start looking back when they're bored with what's out currently. When we get a little break in the market or a weak set comes out, people are like, maybe I didn't finish Paldea Evolved. Let me look back at Paldea Evolved. And now all of a sudden, well, there's not as much Paldea Evolved available, so the price is higher. And now there's not
I
enough, so the
can
cards go up.
I can say firsthand. I just took a very small break from buying Paldean Fates. As you've noticed, I started buying Crown Zenith
Mm-hmm.
for that exact reason, being that I needed to take a break from Paldean Fates, and I looked at Crown Zenith and I saw the 3 legendary dogs: the Entei, the Raikou, the Suicune. Suicune or Suicune?
I say Suicune, and it's Raikou.
No, it's Raikou.
No, it's Raikou. I also say
Okay.
Raikou, but it is Raikou.
It's Raikou. New York bagels are best. Let me continue. So naturally, I saw the 3 dogs and I wanted them, so I started, opening some Crown Zenith, which is how I got my gold Arceus, and
And
so I
Suicune.
definitely and Suicune, whatever it is. It's an ice dog, water dog. Um, so definitely, that goes back to the fatigue of everything, and how, like you said, so how is Paldean Fates right now? Like usually,
What's the question? How is Paldean Fates?
yeah. Has it taken like a cool off?
Yeah, for sure. And
Right.
unfortunately, you're doing what the whole market is doing and buying Crown Zenith when it's 1.5 times as expensive as it was 4 months ago.
Well, why didn't you tell me
It's
4 months ago?
I've been saying this. I've been saying this. What do I say on my stream? All the time. I say, now is the time to buy Paradox Rift and Temporal Forces, buy the sets. I'm never saying now's the time to buy Crown Zenith. I say Crown Zenith is a sick set. But those ETBs were printed into the dirt. There were so many of them back at like Black Friday. And it was probably a little too early for you because there were so many other things happening at that time. We had
Black Friday, I
151,
was
and
still
that's where
doing, yeah, I was still
that's where
doing
everybody was
151.
focusing, and nobody was focusing on Crown Zenith. And we got this massive print wave of Crown Zenith. And you can find ETBs of Crown Zenith for like $34.99, $36.99, $39.99.
That's awesome.
Market
Where?
price on them is like $60 right now. This is back then, Black Friday, right? But
Oh,
they slowly got ripped, and now people are looking back and saying, wait a minute, Crown Zenith is the best set in the Sword and Shield era other than Evolving Skies. It has the most alternate arts. It has the best Pokemon. It has incredible hit rates. And they're like, why didn't I buy it? I'm going to buy it now. And then everybody buys and buys and buys when the supply is no longer being printed, and the set just goes up in price. And it happens every single time. It happened to XY Evolutions. That set was horrible. You could buy XY Evolutions on clearance all the time. And now it's
$30 a pack.
$5,200 for a case of booster boxes. I was looking at a case of booster boxes today. The seller wanted $5,200 for a case of booster boxes. At the time those cases of booster boxes came out, they were $520. That, my friend, is a 10x.
Ah, nice callback.
And that is 8 years for a 10x. Now that's a long time for a 10x, but most investors would take an 8-year 10x. If you went to an investor and guaranteed them an 8-year 10x, they would give you $1 million. No problem. So like a hedge fund
Do
investor
you
or
want
any of
to
these big
invest
Wall
in
Street
me?
guys.
I
I
am
don't
a
have that
10-year
kind of money.
10x.
You're a 10-year 10x. I say it a lot. I say it to people all the time. Don't buy into the hype and try to time your purchases correctly. So as a beginner, this is now we've I think gotten maybe a little bit more complex, but as a beginner, the point that you made about like pick a set that you like, maybe something that's not like crazy in price, and just kind of pace yourself and get through that. And don't fall into the trap of like feeling like you need to buy what everybody else is buying. Just buy what you like. If you happen to really like the super expensive stuff, that's okay. Just know that it, you know, you're limited by your budget and you still shouldn't exceed that,
Right.
right? Your budget needs to be dollars, not number of packs.
That's a good
If you like
point.
if you like Evolving Skies, right? And you have $100 budget for the week, you're not getting much Evolving Skies, right?
Right.
Versus a set like Twilight Masquerade, the brand new set. I mean, right now I have the packs on sale for under $4 a pack. You can get a lot of packs for $100, right? You can have a really long, extended, fun weekend. Well, if you hate Twilight Masquerade, that's probably not the way to do it for you if you're new. But don't buy 100 packs of Evolving Skies just because that's the set that you like. If it's
Do
not in
it.
your budget. If it's in your
Do
budget, yeah,
it.
go ahead. I mean, you've watched me on stream. I've ripped $5,000, $10,000 orders for people before, and they just have that kind of income. I don't understand it. I wish I had a knowledge of what it would be like to spend like that, but I don't.
One of my favorite things to do is to prime Evolving Skies and
Oh
then
my god, this
watch
poor guy.
somebody right after me pull a Moonbryon. And the only reason
Oh
that Nick
man,
ordered the Evolving Skies is because I
he
donated something
called
to
out
him.
my name.
I
Oh my
donated something
god.
to him, and he had to buy something for shipping. And he pulled the Moonbryon. Nick, I love you. You're an awesome dude, but that was mine.
You want to know the most twisted part about the whole thing? You don't even know this yet.
Oh, great. Here, what is it?
You know we graded it, right?
I got a 10.
It got a
Good for Nick.
10.
No. In all honesty, good for Nick. That's
On
really
the
fucking
stream, I said
awesome.
like 20 times, like, dude, this is not gonna 10. The centering on it was just off. We got lucky for sure on that 10.
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm salty because I mean that's just the way the cookie crumbles. That's really awesome for Nick, but also
Yeah,
that was supposed
I
to be
was
mine.
so stoked when I saw it come back. It's not like in my hands yet; it's still shipping, but I got the grade popped and it's a 10.
That's crazy. What's the tracking number on that? So I can go find it.
It's going straight to my secure PO box with armed guards.
I'll be the armed guards. Hire me. I'm holding a heist. So before we cut this episode, I'd like to go back and bring something up.
Okay,
You had mentioned that if we
it wasn't me.
found
It wasn't me, Your Honor.
you had mentioned if we found a Growlithe card
Yeah,
that was
on
worth more than
episode
$20.
episode 2. Yep.
If we found a Growlithe card that was worth more than $20, you would buy it for me.
Yep, we did say that.
And sir, do you have something to tell the people?
Yeah, I mean, people overcharge for cards all the time, so be careful if you're a beginner because there's people out there charging over $20 for a random ass Growlithe card. That's a thing. It does exist. I was wrong. There is a Growlithe. It's a web only promo from Japan. It was released in 2001. There is a matching Arcanine. And it is an e-reader card. E-reader cards are only released for a very, very short time. It's not a card that was released in English, and I did not know that it existed. And I believe the market price was $21 for a raw copy of the card. So it's barely over $20. I was barely wrong. However, I'm a man of my word. So I did, in fact, buy you said Growlithe, and I bought it in a PSA 10 for you. So that will be shipped to you.
That's claps all around.
Yeah, shout out Special K. I'll invoice you for that slab, Special K.
Yeah, she went hard on that.
Yeah, she really was scouring the Googles trying to find a Growlithe worth more than $20.
She's so cutthroat. Special K
But
cracks me
in
up.
all honesty, it's a really cool card. I didn't know, I hadn't seen it before. It's a very, very cool card. He's like scratching behind his ear. It's really cool.
Did you guys just hear what he said though?
What's that?
I don't think they heard what you said. They said that you also were gonna have to get me the Arcanine.
No. That was not said. I looked into it actually. But it's out of the budget. I bought us Kill Tony tickets instead.
That's
for
true.
market research purposes on how to be good podcasters.
That's very true.
Tickets.
It's a business trip.
Well, it's the #1 live podcast in the world. What better place to learn how to be a good podcaster than at the #1 live podcast in the world? In Madison Square Garden. The #1 arena in the world.
I'm gonna make them buy me a hot dog.
I'll have to buy a hot dog only if this video gets 10 likes. Then I'll buy you a hot dog.
10 likes. If this video gets 10 likes,
then
he's
Zack
buying
Mo
me a
gets an
hot dog.
MSG hot dog.
And I don't think you guys understand. An MSG hot dog is about $18. So let's get me that MSG hot dog. And with
10 likes on the video for a hot dog.
With that, I say we are going to end this episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe, please. And if you are listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or Amazon Music, please follow us, download the episodes, and tell your friends.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging out with us. And I look forward to doing this every week. This is super fun. So we'll come back with another great topic next week.
Definitely. The more you guys interact, the better we're going to get at this. So please leave those comments, leave those questions you want to hear us talk about. Interact with us, and we will be sure to get to everything.
All right, Zack Mo. Catch you next week.
Catch you next week, Collector.
Bye.
Bye.